Good day, my dear students. Welcome to our Oral Communication in Context class. Oral Communication in Context, Quarter 1, Module 2, Communication Models. This video consists of one lesson. After going through this video, you are expected to differentiate the various models of communication, explain the process of communication through the elements involved, and recognize the importance of the models in understanding the communication process as applied in everyday life. Lesson 1, Communication Models. Communicating with others takes us to a new experience. We are either the ones starting a conversation process or the ones receiving it. As the exchange of information progresses, both the source and the recipient go through favorable or unfavorable experiences. The two or more individuals involved may end up satisfied or discontented with the result. At random instances, conflicts may incidentally arise, but still, the goal of communication is always for building better human relationships. Imagine your life and the world you live in without proper communication procedure. Would there be order or chaos? Would there be understanding or misunderstanding? Communication plays a crucial role in human life. It facilitates the sending and receiving of knowledge and information. It allows people to develop various kinds of social relationships. It provides an avenue for people to express their ideas, thoughts, feelings, and insights. Without it, societies will be restrained from developing and progressing. With all the advancements in technology, communication nowadays has changed dramatically, adapting to the 21st century way of life. Beginning from the ancient times when messages were written on tablets, clays, and barks of trees, or conveyed by the heralds and emissaries for proclamations to an entire territory. Communication has drastically evolved to fastest means of sending messages through electronic gadgets and computers. Video calling or conferences in another high technological innovation where distance is not quite a problem anymore to foster mutual understanding. Models of communication process. The first one is the linear communication. Have you talked to somebody but did not get any reaction from him or her at all? Have you experienced sending a message without receiving any feedback? This is linear communication. Linear communication is one way focusing on the transmission of a message to a receiver who never responds or has no way of responding to the information conveyed. For instance, a competition organizer is presenting the contest mechanics. The message is final and cannot be contended at all. It could be the president giving the State of the Nation address on the national television, or a student who reads a poem or tells a story in front of an audience in a school program. Other examples includes sending a notification or automated message that does not require a reply, reading a blog, or even the traditional way of sending message such as a telegram. Shannon Weaver model is an example of a linear type of communication. It is also considered as the mother of all communication models. It has a one-way process starting from a source, the producer of the message, passing through a channel, signals adapted for transmission, which may at times be interrupted by noise, which is the barrier, to a receiver, the decoder of the message from the signal. The process stops after the message has arrived at its destination. Second, interactive. When was the last time someone surprised you? How did you react? Who was the last person whom you praised for a job well done? What response did you get? What is the significance of getting a response or reaction from the person to whom you address your statement? Interactive approach is a two-way communication process where a response is given after the message is sent. The receiver of the action intentionally or unintentionally gives feedback associated with the information received. Scrum model in 1954 visualized the process of communication as an exchange of thoughts and ideas. Feedback was added to the Shannon Weaver model. The recipient of the message decodes it and creates a feedback based on his understanding of the information sent and vice versa. The figure identifies the six elements of communication, which are the sender, the message sent, the receiver, and the feedback provided by the receiver, and sent back as a response to the sender and the process of encoding and decoding. Remember, information may become useless if it is not conveyed properly to others. Thus, the processes of encoding and decoding are the key components of this model, including feedback. Encoding is when an idea or information is translated into words and expressed to others. Decoding is when this idea or information is understood and interpreted by the receiver. Hence, the receiver must be able to send feedback to the sender in order to complete the process. Otherwise, the communication transaction fails. Scrum's model, which is a two-way communication model, revolves around these principles. The process goes on starting from the sender, the source, who encodes the message transmitted to the receiver, which he interprets, decodes the message, the feedback to be sent back to the source, who in return decodes and interprets the information sent. Third, transactional model. Communication is dynamic. It has complex nature. It takes place among individuals at any given time with any given subject. However, there are tendencies that barriers would interfere, which may create a sudden impact and change in the processing of information. In a classroom setting, for example, you are being grouped into 5 or 6 members for an activity. Your task is to give an opinion or reaction to the closure of the biggest television network in the Philippines. Each of you expresses your thoughts regarding the matter. While having the activity, you also heard that the junior high school student graders having their dance practice for the upcoming event. The noise did not interrupt your discussion as you gave your own views. This situation is an example of a transactional approach. The communicator, source, encodes the message and transmits it through a channel. The message transmitted may be affected by the noise, the barrier. The receiver, the recipient of the message, decodes, processes, and filters the message for understanding and is now ready to give his own feedback to the sender. The transactional model shows a circular process of interaction between the persons involved in the communication, with each one actively participating in sharing ideas with one another. They are the communicators actively exchanging information and reaction. Feedback is given freely and deliberately to one another or to all members participating in the communication transaction. The sender and the receiver may simultaneously exchange roles as communicators. Since communication is deemed dynamic and progressive, the topic may also change from time to time. In this concept, the noise or barrier to communication is also taken into consideration, for it may directly or indirectly affect the smooth flow of communication. In the event that the message was not clearly conveyed due to the barrier, the communication continues in order to clarify the intended meaning of the sender. When the transmission is got along the way due to the barrier, the communicators work collaboratively to understand each other. Now, the sender becomes a receiver or feedback, the response from the receiver, and the receiver also acts as sender providing information in response to the message conveyed to him. In this way, the communication is made more effective and complete.
Happy learning, everyone! Thank you for listening. Goodbye!